Our guest today is social researcher, media commentator, TEDx speaker and business consultant on all things relating to young people, youth culture and that broader sphere. Welcome, Clare, Madden, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much.
Look, you're recognised as being someone who puts a great emphasis into that next generation. I think it's important to ask from the outset, whatever is a social researcher?
Yeah, a social researcher is someone who looks at the data and the social trends and analyses it to help organisations better understand people today and how to best engage.
Do you think it's I mean, I suppose the principles have always been there, but is it more necessary today to understand those trends than perhaps in the past?
Well, I think today it's unprecedented, the speed, the scale and the scope of change. So being aware of the technology change, the demographic change, the generational change, because it's moving so quickly, I think it's more important than ever to be aware.
It'd be easy to get left behind, wouldn't it, really, in that melee?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. How do Christians relate to all of this? Because I think we put a great emphasis in our preaching, our teaching, you know, that we believe in those things that are always the same and always true.
Yeah,
and here you come along as a Christian yourself, saying, you know, we've really got to be with it at the other end of the scale too.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Christians, there's the unchanging truth of the gospel.
Yes.
And I guess the challenge is to communicate it in a way that's relevant to today's culture. So how do we communicate it in a way that makes sense to the people of today? And so taking that unchanging truth and perhaps communicating it in changed new ways to best engage.
And you were yourself involved for many years in youth ministry, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a big proportion of my life in developing, investing into the next generation. Absolutely love them. They're an amazing generation.
So what challenges do this emerging, we'll call it an emerging generation, have to face that are different than the past?
Yeah, I think there's greater complexity today than ever before as a young person growing up. If you even think about how social media has changed their world, they're from the youngest of age now being a personal brand manager. Yeah. So they're in their teenage years trying to work out who they are, but at the same time needing to project an image out there of who they want to be seen as, and whether that be, and need the affirmation, need the likes, so whether it be, you know, through how funny they are or how good that Instagram post is or whatever it might be. I think it's far greater working out who you are in times of, these times today.
I mean, young people working out what their LinkedIn page is going to say and what their Facebook is going to present them at is all part of that image making, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Look, how can, therefore, parents and grandparents who might just feel in danger of being left behind by this, how can they handle all this?
Yeah, it can be a little bit overwhelming, I think, because it's not the same as how our parents' generation grew up. It's changed so dramatically. And so I think parents can feel like they don't understand it, but I guess the best thing to do is to take an interest in young people's world and ask them questions, find out about the apps they're using or the way that they connect with their friends or what their favourite YouTube videos are, and take that interest and be willing to learn from them and then help guide and direct them in the way they make decisions and in their values formation in life as well. So they still absolutely need the role of parents more than ever, I think, but not to be afraid of their world, which it does look different, but learn what you can.
And all of us can be kind of shocked at the next stage. I mean, I was shocked at Wesley. We have a restaurant, cafe, bistro with a barista there, and somebody told me, I said, well, on my app, I let them know. I said, what do you mean on your app? He said, as I arrive at the station, I press this app and my coffee gets prepared so that when I walk in, and I thought, my gosh, I thought I knew something about what was changing. It's constantly changing.
Constantly, and that it's getting quicker all the time, isn't it? That expectation for instantaneous, and that the coffee can be prepared on your way by pushing a button on an app. So the speed is constantly accelerating.
So would you acknowledge then in all of that there's some frightening aspects of that, in that it raises people's kind of what they expect society, the world, to provide for them?
Absolutely, and I think also we can just become so wired as though we always need to be on our devices and always need to be busy, as though being busy gives us meaning or makes us productive, but actually busyness and productivity are are separate things. And so we can just get so caught up in, you know, checking emails or social media or whatever it might be that we don't take time for reflection in life.
Look, in your public speaking, you talk about the intergenerational experience with glass. What's all that about?
Oh, yeah, well, glass is just an interesting example of how quickly things have changed. So when I was growing up, Mum would say, keep your fingers off the glass, don't leave any grubby finger marks.
And rightly so.
Yeah, that's right. But glass today is becoming a medium of communication in itself. So increasingly we're projecting visual data onto glass, such as heads-up display units in cars. It's also something we touch, swipe and interact with every single day. And so it just shows how, things that used to be windows can increasingly become screens.
How does all this relate to you, just in a sentence or two, as a Christian person in the work that you do?
Well, I think that it shows me that the world is moving fast and really busy, and people are really longing to know who they are and get affirmation in the midst of that. And so as a Christian, I just know that my affirmation and my sense of identity comes from knowing who I am in Christ, and that knowing your Creator is the best place to begin, and you find your meaning and purpose from that. And then you can enjoy the community that we have today.
Claire, thanks for joining us and giving us an insight, a touch into that world that you're involved in. We wish you well in the work that you are doing, and
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sure the welcome that you'll get into many places to share that message.